very warm welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Heshain Ali and let's have a look at the headlines first. No danger of oil spills to Sri Lanka from Panama-flagged oil tanker. European Union brings conditions on extending GSP Plus concessions. News in detail. Sri Lanka Navy's Operations Director General Rear Admiral Nandana Jayaratne assured that they do not expect any danger on Sri Lanka from oil spills from the Panama-flagged tanker MT New Diamond, which was engulfed in fire yesterday early morning. The Navy's Operations Director General also said that all the measures that should be taken had been already taken locally and internationally to minimize the damages. At around 8:30 am yesterday, the oil tanker MT New Diamond had been sailing 38 nautical miles off Sangamankanda Point, east of Sri Lankan seas, when the unfortunate turn of events took place. Sri Lanka Navy said that 19 sailors out of 23 were rescued and kept on board at another ship as their assistance is needed for the rescue missions. However, one sailor had been admitted for treatments. One of the crew members of the Panama-registered oil tanker has been confirmed dead in an explosion in the main engine room and another is missing, the Navy added. Sri Lanka Navy, Sri Lanka Air Force, Sri Lanka Ports Authority, the Indian Navy and the Indian Coast Guard are currently engaged in a joint effort to control the fire raging in the oil tanker.
We control the fire, put the expert team on board with couple of the ship's crew. They tow up and then the owners take the ship where they want to take it. That is the best case scenario. The worst case scenario, because of the intense heat, if we cannot control the fire for maybe 5, 6, 7 days, the hull crack, ship break, snap, and then it start tilting. If that happens, obviously we will have to put the surface booms. In fighting oil, there's something called boom laying. So you encircle the complete ship. Now the ship is 333 meters. So on one side you need 350, other side you need 350, that is 700. And further, let's say 700 on the front and back. So 1500 meters is quite enough to encircle it. Now remember, this is 20-meter draft and there's an intense pressure inside, underneath the water. And that pressure itself limits the oil spill, anything coming out. We will need definitely the international support to clean up the oil spill if it ever happens.
During the media briefing held at the Government Information Department, media personnel also questioned over the legal action and compensation process.
In the event we go to a worst case scenario of an oil spill, is there any criminal process that will be followed with regard to the owners of the ship and also the company that chartered the ship, that's Lanka IOC, as well as is there any process for Sri Lanka to obtain any compensation from these companies?
There's a process. In 2009 we did it. In 2009 there was a motor tanker Granma that with sulfuric acid that sank off Trincomalee. So MIPA pursued the legal action and we got the compensation. So that is where the authority lies. So we'll be mobilizing their legal expertise on that line. Yes, there's a process and it's laid down international process and it will happen.
Can we state that a criminal process will be instituted?
It is a criminal process.
I mean, with regard if an oil spill does occur.
Well, if there's any oil spill, if oil spill occurs, yes, definitely we'll have to take criminal action against the connected parties. We are actually given instruction, the consultation by AG's department at the moment. And also, as he correctly mentioned, in our act actually given us the authority to get the legal compensation, the criminal compensation, as well as we can go for civil liability as well.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa reviews the developments of the program to provide clean drinking water to all households for all 24 hours of the day before the end of 2025. President made these remarks at a discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday on the future activities of the State Ministry of Rural and Regional Drinking Water Supply Projects Development. The government expects to provide drinking water facility to 4.7 million families in the next 4 years. The project is being implemented with local and foreign funds and will require the laying of 40,000 kilometers of new water supply pipes. The project is to be completed at half of the cost spent so far on water supply, and tree planting is also planned to ensure the conservation of water sources. In the Colombo district alone, 45% of the total water supply was wasted due to water leaks. During the meeting, the President also focused attention on resolving the issues of the employees of the community water projects. It was discussed in detail regarding the rainwater harvesting and the expansion of capacity of tanks and reservoirs in the island and construction of a new tank and reservoir network. The new plan also includes the introduction of projects with new canals and pipelines to carry water to water-deficient areas. People's Liberation Front leader Anura Kumara Dissanayake states that the 20th Amendment to the Constitution has concentrated enormous excess power with the President. Moreover, expressing views on the draft bill of the 20th Amendment to the Constitution, JVP leader said that the government should have not repealed the independent commissions and should have rather solved its shortcomings.
අපි දන්නවා 19 වෙනි ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනය යම් අඩුපාඩුකම් සහිතව තිබුණා. එහි කොමිෂන් සභාවල ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වය ජනතාව අපේක්ෂා කරන ලද ස්වාධීනත්වය ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න අසමත් වී තිබුණා. ඒක ඇත්ත. ඒක අපි පිළිගත යුතුයි. නම් ආණ්ඩුවක් සමාජයක් ශිෂ්ටත්වය කරා ගෙන යනවා නම් සමාජයක් තව තවත් ප්‍රජාතාන්ත්‍රිකකරණයේ දිශාවට ගෙන යනවා නම් ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී අයිතිවාසිකම් මිනිසුන්ට ලබා දීමේ දිශාවට ගෙන යනවා නම් කල යුතුව තිබුණේ එම ස්වාධීන කොමිෂන් සභා ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වයේදී හෝ අනිකුත් ආයතනයන් මෙහෙවීමේදී හෝ යම් අඩුවක් තිබුණා නම් ඒ අඩුව निराකරණය කිරීමේ දිශාවට තමයි සංශෝධනය ආයුධ තිබුණේ. අප විසින් ඉදිරිපත් කළ ලද 20 වෙනි සංශෝධනය අප විසින් ඉදිරිපත් කළ ලද 20 වෙනි සංශෝධනය අරමුණ බවට පත් වී තිබුණේ ඒක. නමුත් ඒ වෙනුවට ඒ ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වයේ තිබෙන යම් අඩුපාඩුකම් ඉවහල් කරගනිමින් ඒ මුළුමනින්ම ගලවා ජනාධිපතිවරයා අතට යලි කේන්ද්‍රගත කර ගැනීම මෙහි අඩංගු වී තිබෙනවා. දැන් යෝජනා කොට තිබෙන ස්වාධීන කොමිෂන් සභාව මුළුමනින්ම ස්වාධීනත්ව අහිමි කරපු දෙයක්. එහි කොමිෂන් සභාව කියන නාමකරණය තියෙනවා. ඒ බෝඩ් එක තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඒ සඳහා වැය වෙන මුදල් ප්‍රමාණය තිබෙනවා. ඒ සඳහා ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන පුද්ගලයන් ගණනාවක් ඉන්නවා. හැබැයි ජනාධිපතිවරයාගේ අනස්සකට යටත් කරන ලද කණ්ඩායම. ඒ වගේම අපි දන්නවා අපේ රටේ පහුගිය කාලේ වැදගත් කොමිෂන් සභා දෙකක් තිබුණා. ජාතික විගණන කොමිෂන් සභාව සහ ජාතික ප්‍රසම්පාදන කොමිෂන් සභාව. රාජ්‍ය මුදල් වියදමුනේ කොයි ආකාරයකද කියලා සොයා බැලීමේ අයිතියක් විගණනාධිපතිවරයා සතුව සහ කොමිෂන් සභාව සතුව තිබුණා. දැන් එය මුළුමනින්ම ගලවා විගණනාධිපතිවරයා පත් කිරීමේ බලය ජනාධිපතිවරයාට අරන් තියෙනවා. මේ මොනතරම් ශිෂ්ට සම්පන්න. ඔබෙන් අහන්න. තමන් විසින් මුදල් වියදම් කිරීම පිළිබඳව පරීක්ෂා කිරීම සඳහා තමන් විසින්ම කෙනෙක් පත් කරගන්න. එය වංචනික හිතක් තියෙන. වංකභාවයේ හිත උවමනාවක් තිබෙන. කෙනෙකුට හැර එවැනි අශිෂ්ට යෝජනාවක් ගෙනින්න බෑ.
In the meantime, convening a media briefing today morning, the Government Medical Officers Association renewed its calls to the government to maintain the all-island health service in future constitutional amendments as well and not to decentralize the all-island health service since it will hinder the quality and equal status of the health service of the country. Stay tuned for more news right after this commercial break. Welcome back after the break. European Union Ambassador to Sri Lanka and Maldives, Dennis Chaibi, states that generalized scheme of preferences plus, which is commonly known as GSP plus, that reduces or eliminates tariffs on a series of exports from Sri Lanka to the EU, which was earlier determined to continue up to 2023, will be extended up to 2025 if the country meets its conditions. EU Ambassador Chaibi made these observations addressing a recent discussion titled Sustainable Supply Chains as Driver for Global Competitiveness.
With Europe, you have a competitive advantage in the form of GSP+. GSP+ was supposed to end in 3 years, but it's not because of the crisis. The GDP per capita has gone below the graduation level. So from next year onward, there are at least 3 years of GSP+, provided all the conditions are fulfilled. And I will come to that because one of the conditions is precisely on human rights. And looking at the economic situation this year and the contraction, it's most likely that also next year Sri Lanka will be below graduation, which means that for 2022 there will be 3 years. So if there is a positive situation on human rights and on other things, if there's no degradation, one can assume that there's at least GSP plus until 2025, with, in addition, the possibility to improve the rate use of GSP plus. At the moment, it's used to 58%. So by doing better accumulation, we can increase that use rate.
Speaking for the European Union ambassador to Sri Lanka and the Maldives, Janice Chaibi, added that the labour standards in Sri Lanka is the best in the South Asia and that it is beneficial in attracting investors to Sri Lanka.
The labour standards in Sri Lanka are the best in South Asia. In terms of Human Development Index, Sri Lanka is at the vanguard. In terms of social protection, Sri Lanka is at the vanguard. Sri Lanka is ahead in South Asia. Why the future is also in Europe is we are very reliable. Nobody in Europe, or the president of the European Commission, Mrs. von der Leyen, you won't find her tweeting from one day to the next that we're going to impose 30% tariffs on a specific product. All tariffs remain the same. They are predictable. All legal system is predictable. And I hope that your experiences are all business people are predictable. So we think that in the future there will be always a good case for Sri Lanka EU trade. The GDP per capita in Europe is still 3 times on average than in China and 15 times of India. Before there can be a proper catch-up, you have time to make much more profit with Europe.
First Capital Holdings states that the buying interest rate in the trading of the stock market, which was evident at the beginning of the week, has gradually shifted towards the selling side at the end of the week. Nevertheless, it was further noted that the turnover levels were healthy, touching the 1 billion mark.
Towards the start of the week, we saw a lot of buying interest that emerged in the market as the market was in the green for a couple of days. However, as the market progressed and towards the end of the week, we saw a bit of selling pressure emerging in the market despite the expectation of a super September that was the past trend in the past couple of years. However, this selling pressure has been accelerating. We saw on Friday with the market declining over 30 points, and with that we saw retail, high net worth and institutional selling pressure coming back into the market, bringing the overall market down. However, turnover levels were healthy with across all days market exceeding the 1 billion mark, and on a couple of days at the start of the week market even touching closer to 2 billion rupees. If you look at the foreign side, however, the net foreign has been an outflow on a constant basis. However, over the last couple of days with even local selling pressure coming into the play, foreign participation has been significantly low.
Speaking further, First Capital Holdings highlights that the current selling pressure of the market will exist in the coming week but will be diminished towards the latter part of the coming week with the reduced interest rates.
With the negativity in the overall market during the end of last week, we feel that the selling pressure could continue into the upcoming week as well, with investors being concerned mostly about the budget deficit. With the announcement of a high budget deficit up to the first half of this year has been a concern for investors at a time where the new vote of account is also placed in Parliament. So with that, we feel that there could be a bit of selling pressure. However, considering the low interest rate environment and the attractive valuations that is there in the market, we are expecting buying interest to come back into the market towards the end of the week. Especially bargain hunters, high net worth individuals are likely to re-enter the market at selected counters, which could lead to the selling pressure being completely absorbed.
Stay tuned for stock updates. Welcome back after the break. The trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The all share price index dropped 39.43 points to close at 5,311.42, and the S&P SL20 dropped 22.24 points to close at 2,321.57. The turnover was 1 billion rupees and over 53 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. And that's all news for today. See you on Sunday at 7 p.m. with Best Roundup. Until then, take care and good night.